You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
This is episode 181 of Retired Racehorse Radio on the Horse Radio Network, part of Equine Network, brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products and HRN. Retired Racehorse Radio is your guide to the adoption, care, and training of the retired racehorse. Brought to you in cooperation with the Retired Racehorse Project and New Vocations Racehorse Adoption Program.
On today's show, we're talking to Michele Scott, CEO and owner of Professional's Choice, about how equine sport medicine can play a role in the retraining of your off the track. Then we meet an adoptable horse of the week and a new training tip with New Vocations Bridget Heasley. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Retired Racehorse Radio.
This is Joy Orr in Detroit, Michigan.
And this is Kristen Kovach Bentley in Jamestown, New York. And you are listening to Retired Racehorse Radio.
Kristen, I'm going to start this off with a hot take.
Oh, boy.
I know. And luckily, if people have complaints, you can email Ashley. Don't email me. But I saw the news that there's been some changes in the racing world with the Triple Crown, specifically the Preakness is now on a Sunday. And then there's this whole new racing championship, the Thoroughbred Championship Series. And my hot take is, if you have to rewrite the Triple Crown, and by that I mean a competitor to the Triple Crown, to keep people watching, maybe the problem isn't the fact it's landing on a Sunday. Because I'm annoyed that there are people who are disappointed there isn't a Triple Crown winner every year, because it is meant to be hard. It is an ultimate test of exceptional racehorses. I don't know your thoughts on it, but I found this to be annoying.
I just like the whole thing. I don't get why did we need to change it? I guess first off, why did we need, what was wrong with the Triple Crown?
I mean, we
and
get
then,
it, right?
we already have Breeders' Cup at the end for a championship. So now we have a 6-race series, and then they also do Breeders' Cup. I'm a little this is a lot. Is it a majority, you win 4 out of 6, so you win, or do you have to win all 6? Okay. I will admit, I just read the headlines, especially shout out to Thoroughbred Daily News, who wrote an obituary for the Triple Crown. I thought that was some bang on journalism.
Mm-hmm. I did as well. I read that
A+ work. And but yeah, I was like, what are we doing? Why?
It's starting to feel like a participation trophy as opposed to what it was meant to be, which is to show iconic horses doing hard things. And I do understand from a horse welfare perspective, we obviously want to preserve that. And there's been a lot of initiatives around track welfare that have taken place, which I think is the responsible thing. But I also think not everyone is meant to go to the Olympics. Not everyone is meant to be a pro player, and not everyone is meant to break world records. So I just question the motives here of, are we watering it down because it's truly the best interest of the horse? Or are we watering it down to keep a population happy and exciting, and it's financially fun to create this hero effect?
I don't know. I can go back and forth on, I don't know that it's watering it down necessarily, but I know from conversations that I've had, both on this show and then in my last job at RRP with industry professionals, there is a need for horse racing to compete in the general public's eye, to compete with other traditional ball sport seasons. There needs to be a long season, and there needs to be a kind of easy to follow format where you can kind of track the same, for the sake of this argument, I'm going to call them quote unquote players, right? I live in Western New York, so I'm woo, go Bills, Josh Allen. That's my guy. That's the one player obviously I can glom onto. And in horse racing, you don't necessarily have that team format. And I don't think the team format is the way to go. We've tried that. That is just silly. That doesn't work in horse racing. But this kind of extended season where you can sort of follow the same players, so to speak, through this series. I actually now I'm as I'm reasoning this out loud, I'm like, okay, it kind of makes sense. I don't like having to harpoon the Triple Crown to bludgeon this other thing through.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there was anything wrong with the Triple Crown. Maybe. I mean, like, so, and this is part of that bigger debate, right? And like, we're going to derail ourselves for hours and hours. We could talk about this for hours, whether the problem with the Triple Crown is that it was built in a time where we didn't take horse welfare into as much consideration as we do, or we've bred horses that can't hold up to that rigor of racing anymore.
Yes.
And I think maybe both of those things are true.
Yeah. And it is possible to have two truths, right? Like, again, I'm curious to see it's happening, right? Like, my opinion, your opinion doesn't change the outcome.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to be like, I heard these girls on this podcast. I think we got to think this through again.
Calling us
like,
for consultation. I'll tell you that.
Right.
But for those listening in and who have their own thoughts, we're going to see how this plays out. And if at the end of the day, it does improve horse welfare, I'm never going to be upset about that. But to your point, are we breeding for quality, or are we,
breeding for the shed? I think is an argument that's being made, right? Like, we're just breeding for future stallions.
Yes.
Maybe. So again, like, we're just two girls with a podcast. We don't have, we're not breeders. We're not trainers, like, so yeah, take everything we're saying with a big old grain of salt, but we're also horse racing fans. And I do think the perspective of horse racing fans who are also thoroughbred fans does matter. So we're here for you, thoroughbred people.
Yeah. So, we'll see how this plays out. I do like your points, about the more long format. I'm curious to see how that goes. I'm going to be more open-minded after your comments on that.
But I mean, also, am I right? Like, I don't know if I'm right, because I don't know if the point should be to make this appealing to sports fans. Like, I don't, like, I might be right, and that's why they're doing it, but I don't know that that's the right answer.
It's a benefit to get more people involved for the sport.
That's a good point. You're definitely right there.
Yeah, I think you never know who it's going to trigger, who will see interest and want to invest. And hopefully, someone becomes passionate enough to invest on the aftercare side too, right? Like, not just the racing side. That's always the goal, is they want to see it. I like what Kyle has put together, his like Foal to Forever. Like, you want to follow the whole path. But, I don't know how this is all going to turn out, because it also feels like it is a little bit for the money. It is a little bit for the commercialization.
Yeah. And is that the right thing for our sport? I don't know.
What is your hot take on this? If you've looked into this, I'm curious to see what people think. So feel free to message us if you have one.
Leave a comment on the Facebook post or the Instagram post for this episode, because we do want to know.
Yeah.
Tell us your takes. Hot, cold, lukewarm, spicy. We want to hear them all.
We want it all. But I had to get that off my chest before asking you, how is your craft business going?
Oh my gosh. This is like what a segue. We just took a hard left turn. I love it. I'm grabbing mane. I'm ready to go. It's fine.
I need to bring my blood pressure down after that.
Right. Well, let me tell you what, handcrafting is the way to do that. It's very meditative. I have always said, like, all along, like, running the business is one hobby and making the crafts is a separate hobby. It's also not at all sustainable. There's no way that I can physically craft enough things to ever make this like a 9 to 5. So it's always going to be a 5 to 9, and that's fine. There's other ways to, like, passive income streams with patterns and blah, blah, blah. And like, that's other things we can get into, but this is not a business podcast. This is a horse podcast. But the craft business is a ball. So I have targeted some higher tier craft shows this year. And I've also buddied up with a friend of mine who happens to live right up the road, who spins yarn. She has a collection of spinning wheels, because this is a thing that people have. And I bought a spinning wheel from her, and like, this has really escalated. But so I'm selling her yarns on consignment at my booth as well. So like, we're having a really good time together doing this. So this is just like a fun, totally new direction. But we did target some bigger shows this year, and that has paid off really, really well. So it's put us in front of a completely different market at these bigger shows. And I've spent a ton of money this year on like branding. I got a new logo for the business. I've gotten branding materials for the booth. I got a brand new tent. I have this really cool sign that like sticks out from the tent and hangs like an old fashioned tavern. So just like some neat looking stuff that I think elevates the product too. But this is what I mean, where like the business is a separate hobby from the actual making of the things. So, but yeah, it's a ball. So how's your business going? Like, as you know, you're learning this too. Running the business and actually doing the work are two very separate things.
Yeah. It's going, like similar. It's a lot of investment up front, not seeing a lot of income coming in, but that's okay because everyone has like their foundation years. And I
Years.
also have
And it's years with an S.
Yes. And I found I've already wanted to niche a little bit more. And I was really struggling to find what was the bigger message I wanted to get out. So at first I was really focusing on like all women with Astrid and Co. and finding your voice and doing the thing, which I still support that, but I don't know if it's like corporate burnout or what's going on. It's just not where my heart is current state. If anything, I am in very much a horses are healing. Horses have taught me so much from the saddle, off the saddle, of how to be a better person, a better partner, and now a better mother. Like, so I'm going back to like my equestrian community, or those, if anything, I'd say like the audience I'm now trying to target are women who are either returning to horses or have a desire to get involved with horses and maybe wonder if it was too late.
I love that. That is the perfect audience.
It's such an important one. It's when I'm sitting in, I'm having a lot of like identity crisis current state, which will actually be my next article because I started a Substack with this business.
Ooh.
I know.
Where can we find that?
I haven't written in a long time, so it's hard to feel like very confident about what I'm putting out there, especially like talking to you. You're a published writer, like you're actually published. I'm just a girl.
Okay, like back up though. I'm like published by default, right? Like I worked in a position where like publishing just came with the position. It's not like I've had to like do this the hard way, right? And like pitch this to editors. So, like a caveat here, imposter syndrome is real wherever you are. I'm
That's
just gonna
true.
say that.
That's true. But my second article is actually coming out. Well, it will be out by the time this podcast comes out, but it's going out tomorrow on the 6th. So a day after we're recording. And it is all about how I still wonder if I'm a horse girl. So I will be sharing that on my social if that is something of interest to anyone. But yeah, I'm trying to do more writing in that space. And then I'm just going to give a little sneaky sneak, but that's a good place to follow too. Like my horse shopping and, maybe a makeover horse. Who knows? We'll see.
Exciting. Okay. Remind us where we can find that. Because now I know you said your socials, but.
Yes. So my website is astridcostudio.com. And my Substack is there, or you can just search on Substack, Astrid Co Studio. And then you have to share your business too.
Oh yeah. I am treehousehandcrafts.com. And same on, Facebook and Instagram. The handle is Treehouse Handcrafts CHQ, which is the abbreviation for the county that we live in.
Love it.
So, all right, doing business things now. We should start a new podcast.
Business things, and farm.
It's called Business Things.
Fun stuff. You know what? It's on theme for this episode because we are talking to a very entrepreneurial woman who's very successful with her family business. So it's going to be right on par. I think everyone's going to love the interview because I know we did. We had a lot of fun talking to Michele.
I'm just going to say the way you said that was really funny. Like, oh, her family business. It's professional's choice. That's the family business.
Choice. I know.
Like, we all know what this business is.
In the title. You guys know it's coming up.
It's just this little company called Professional's Choice. We've all used their stuff. It's amazing.
Small little side biz,
Yeah. Little side hustle. Yeah. Love it.
But yes, very entrepreneurial horse girl at heart. We think you're going to love this episode. Before we dive in, you're going to hear from our premier sponsor, Kentucky Performance Products. Also, an entrepreneurial horse girl spirit.
Has your horse been diagnosed with a neurological or muscular disorder? Is he showing signs of muscle wasting and impaired balance or coordination? Studies show that supplemented water-soluble natural vitamin E can reach a horse's brain and spinal cord through the blood-brain barrier, where it can benefit horses with neurological issues. If your horse has any of these problems, Elevate WS, a natural vitamin liquid, can help. A research-proven, powerful antioxidant, Elevate maintains healthy muscle, nerve, and immune function. It does this by delivering a highly bioavailable source of natural vitamin E that is preferentially absorbed and retained in a horse's tissues. For more information, visit kppusa.com or call 859-873-2974.
Well, if you've ever wondered whether the right boot, saddle pad, or support gear can make the difference for your off the track thoroughbred or standardbred, you are in the right place. Today, we're welcoming Michele Scott, CEO and owner of Professional's Choice, lifelong equestrian, and someone who's dedicated her career to helping horses stay happy, healthy, and performing their best. Michele, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you, ladies, for having me on. I appreciate it. I'm excited to talk to you.
Same here, because I got to say, I'm fangirling a little bit. I have many, many, many Professional Choice products. Your boots are one of my favorites that I keep in my tack room. So I am personally fangirling because you have helped many of my horses over the years. But for our listeners, I think it'd be really interesting to know that Professional's Choice has been a trusted name in our industry for decades. Can you tell us a little bit about the story behind the company and how it's evolved into what it is today?
Yeah, absolutely. This is actually we are celebrating our 50th year starting this month. So it's pretty exciting. The way the company started was by accident. I like to say nobody can say our story because it started with a motorcycle, a broken leg, and a 6-year-old little girl who didn't listen. You can guess who that 6-year-old little girl was. Oh, and a big horse. Um, so I really wanted a horse. My parents had moved into a house where there were horses across the street. My dad had grown up with horses, and I was always across the street petting those horses over there. And I kept begging for my own horse. And so finally, my dad caved, and he bought this half draft, half quarter horse who's big, right? And his name was Ivan. And my dad at the time was in the RV business. So he worked long hours, and I would beg him to please come home early so I could ride. And about 3 weeks into having this horse, we didn't have a saddle yet. I mean, all we had was a bareback pad for him. And my dad put me up on him. He came home early, as he promised, and he had a little dirt bike. So we went out on this trail behind the houses, and he said, whatever you do, we're going to walk to the end of the trail, but I don't want you to kick him. Okay. We're just walking and I'll be behind you. So we get to the end of this trail and everything was fine. And we turn around. I said, now remember, he knows it's his dinner time and he knows where the barn is. Don't kick him. Well, my precocious 6-year-old little self didn't exactly listen to my dad. And I kicked him, and Ivan took off first in a little trot. And then he wound up in a canter and then a full-born head to the barn. My dad behind me didn't see me. I crested a hill with him. I came off. I was fine, but my dad didn't see that and wiped out on the dirt bike and broke his leg in several places. And yeah. So needless to say, he was in a cast all summer. And while he was sitting out by the pool trying to figure out how he could swim and keep his cast from getting wet, he developed with a company that you may have heard of called Body Glove, which was also based out of San Diego, where I grew up. And Body Glove makes dive suits and neoprene dive suits. And so he developed a cast protector with them. And at the time, it was called Dry Cast Orthopedics, and that's how he started. But my dad's love was always with the horses. And so we, over the years, acquired more horses, as one does, and he could see there was a need for the horses. Like, how do I make them more comfortable? How can I extend their lives? What can I do? And we were just trail riders. My dad would ride on the weekends and go to little backyard shows that he'd take me to. And he started talking to people off the track, vets, trainers, different riders, and asking them, what do you think the horse needs? What would serve the horse's purpose? And that's really how he ventured out into the equestrian world with sports products, therapeutic products. And the first product he developed was at the time called the Polo boot, which then later transitioned into the sports medicine boot. And, here fast forward 50 years later, and we have just a plethora of products from grooming goods to leather to you name it. I'm pretty sure we have it on the shelf out there. So that's the origin story of Professional's Choice. And my dad, unfortunately, is no longer with us, and my mom is retired. So here I am.
Well, Michelle, I gotta tell you, that was a riveting story. I immediately messaged Kristen. I was like, I am so intrigued with how this started. Had no idea this was the origin story.
Yeah, I hope you told your dad, like, hey, you're welcome, right?
Yeah.
For like making you fall off and break your leg.
I do have to tell you, over the years, I did always kind of give him little jabs. I'm like, I am the reason you built this company. Like, it's
Right.
me and it's me and the first horse we ever had, who, by the way, we did have Ivan till he reached probably 29, 30, and
Bless.
we lost him. So we do have a habit in my family, I've noticed, of keeping horses till their last day. So I can't tell you how many retired, you're talking to the right person when you're talking retired. I can't tell, I mean, I have a half a dozen of them in Southern California still with my vet there. So they stay with me till the end.
Love that. Same
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love that. Yeah. So like, cause I've used, and what I like with Professional's Choice, you guys are like cross-disciplinary, right? Like a lot of times I think equipment sort of gets, maybe pigeonholed into like, oh, that's for English riding, or that's for hunters, that's for jumpers. Like I use it on my thoroughbred. Well, I should say I did use it when we were actively competing, and now we two are just wandering the pastures because that's all we're up to these days. But like Professional's Choice was always like the boot for reined cow horse, because that is a sport that's hard on horses and it's hard on the ground. And so yeah, like I use those on my thoroughbred. I've used those on quarter horses, and they kind of work for everybody, which I think is cool. Like it's definitely a sports medicine boot, not like a breed boot.
Yeah, I went back into the business full time around 2010 when my dad got sick, and at that point, I saw a need, because we were really obviously entrenched in the Western world. People, riders knew us, and many of those horses had our product. I grew up writing English. I told him, I said, Dad, we're missing a certain group here. And it's, and I said, instead of us just thinking we're a Western company, why aren't we a horse company? We should meet the needs of all horsemen and women and all those horses out there. And because I wanted to develop, we did have girths and we did have bell boots and we had some boots, but we weren't really putting a whole lot into that side, into the English disciplines, be it jumping, dressage, and I brought that to him, and he said, "Well, I'll tell you what, you go ahead and create a line of products." And I remember he sat me in the little, kiosk right outside his office, and he says, "Here, you sit there and you come up with it." And he says, "It's going to take you about 3 to 5 years to it's either going to sink or swim, but go for it." And I was like, "Okay, how?" And he's like, "I don't know, you'll figure it out." So I did. I did. And I think, it was interesting because my daughter, as a little girl, was a 3-day event rider, and now she's a show jumper. And, when I started really going into those disciplines and selling them, it was interesting because people, as we ventured out, we'd always been known really as a core Western company. Once I started on that side, it was interesting. Those kids growing up as event riders, they didn't really realize that we had this whole other side of the business. So I think it's worked out really well that we've been able to do cross disciplines. And I think what we all have in common, doesn't matter what we do, if we barrel race or you rope or you jump or you're dressage rider, whatever it is, the one thing we all have in common is grit, right? Like, we get up in the first thing in the morning and feed those horses. And if a horse is sick, we're up all night. And if a horse needs to be iced, man, we're out there doing it. That's the one thing that I think we can all meet in the middle there. And that's really what I want to try to put out there, is like, hey, we want to meet every horseman and woman and their horses wherever they're at and whatever they do.
Yeah, that makes so much sense because I mean, an athlete's an athlete, right? Like all these sports have now individual sports have different individual strains on horses, but ultimately like there's no reason that at least the same material, maybe with some tweaks in design, wouldn't work for a different discipline. So
Yep.
but yeah, I'm interested in the design part of it. Like how do you determine like a jumper versus a reined cow horse? Those are extraordinarily different asks on the animal. So like how do you figure like, okay, a jumper needs support here and a reined cow horse or a barrel racer needs support there? Like what kind of, process is this?
Well, so my dad, if he were here, would tell you every horse needs a sports medicine boot. I don't care what they do. But because of tradition and different disciplines, that's a hard one to break, right? So we've had to, again, you have to meet the riders with what they feel is going to work best for their horse. So, for a jumper, they're going to want an open front jump boot, right? And so what we want to do is find for if we're going to design that boot, what is the best technology available to us to meet that need and also meet the price point that the amateur can appreciate with the quality versus there's a vast difference in pricing, right? Whether you can get a very expensive open front leather boot, and a lot of people will go and invest in that if they're competitors. But I think the majority of those riders are amateurs, and so they appreciate the price point that we have, but we still put the quality in it. And then say a rein cow horse. I mean, obviously, I'm always going to say a sports medicine boot. That's what we're known for, and we're consistently doing product development, and what is the next iteration? What like recently when we came out with the strike boot, that boot when it was being tested for about 3.5 years, be it on design, different materials that we were looking at, what would keep the horse's leg cool, what would be the most protective for them, that type of thing. So it truly is a process. And then whatever it is we are developing that's new, we always, all of us, well, the majority of us at Professionals Choice do have horses, and each of us rides in a different discipline. So I mean, I'm a dressage rider now, and my actually the gal who does product development, she is an event rider. My COO is a roper, my head sales guy is a roper. I've got a barrel racers, so a variety. So we'll design something and then we'll go take it out to our horses, and then we'll also utilize our endorsers, so our sponsored riders, and they will do that as well, and then come back and we do feedback. So it's quite a process before we ever put anything out there with our name on it. We want to make sure that it fits the needs and that it's the quality that we're known for.
Absolutely love that. Like the amount of feedback and that you're consulting with writers of those disciplines rather than just taking a guess. I feel like there's so many, I'm going to call it lower grade competitors of yours who will follow a trend and try to put something out there and just make it sell, but they're not doing that full research. And I love that you're looking at the traditions of different sports too. I think that's something that's pretty rare and really shows the craftsmanship of what Professional Choice is trying to do.
It's something that my dad actually started many years ago, and kind of by accident, really, is in the sports medicine boot. He wound up speaking with an engineer who said, "Well, let's test this boot," and they wound up with vets at University of Oklahoma, and that's when they discovered that the boot absorbs up to, I believe it was 26 or 27% of the negative energy going down to the hoof, right? So that hoof, that concussion. And he honestly had no idea what he designed. He had no idea how it worked, but he trusted the engineers and he read the reports, and then they did another study. So we've always tried to go along that basis, is how can we test these products? And I want to keep that going. I would love to do further studies on products and develop in that way as much as possible. I think it's important. I mean, these animals are an extension of our family, right? So We wouldn't put, say, on our kid who's a runner, a crappy pair of tennis shoes. We're going to give him the best to give him the best advantage and to keep him from getting injured.
I love it. I love it. Um, so that makes me think if you're bringing a horse off the track, they're going to come at different fitness levels, different body types, different history. Some have track jewelry that we know. How does someone get started, whether they're an amateur or they're a pro, in evaluating what might be the right equipment to start with as for that retraining or rehab? Like, how does professional's choice follow along that retraining journey for off the track horses?
Well, I would always obviously defer to your veterinarian. I mean, you're always going to want to get that information. There's some items that I would have in my toolkit just, that I think can always be helpful. Obviously, ice boots. Uh, I also think a good bell boot. So when you turn out, if you have a horse out there, with shoes on and he overreaches, I've seen a lot of injuries prevented that way. Um, I do think a horse who's had an injury, whether a suspensory or something like that, a tendon done that, and I think the sports medicine boot is a great product for those horses to have. You always want to have good fly products because God knows we can't seem to ever get rid of them. So you want to have that in your toolkit no matter what. It's not exactly a rehab, but it is something you want. And then something we do well that I don't think a lot of customers know is we have a whole line of magnetic products and a line of ceramics, which is it basically it's a healing modality, but if anything, it's almost like putting, we have it in a blanket, we have it in boots. It's almost like putting a therapeutic product on the horse that it's not going to do the horse any harm and it's going to feel good and it's great to put on them before and after. So those are kinds of things that I think you can look at keeping in your toolkit that this isn't going to in any way damage my horse or the recovery that I'm working toward. But again, I would always defer to what is my vet telling me is the best thing that I should be using here. Um, that would be my recommendation. And we do listen to vets. I speak to a lot of vets and ask them, what their opinions are, and because I never want to talk out of turn.
Which like I deeply appreciate, right, as a horse owner, because I think like especially I remember this like as a teenager, right? Like someone would get a horse, so then they would immediately be like, now I need the matching polo wraps and I need the matching saddle pad. And some of it becomes a little bit for aesthetics, which like, okay, like a polo wrap isn't, I think a polo wrap done poorly actually can do a lot of damage. So like, I think when we start making like boot and equipment choices based on the look rather than what the horse needs, like you can definitely go down a dangerous path there. So I really appreciate hearing, you as the rep of the company being like, please talk to a vet before you just start putting things on your horse, as much as
100%,
we love
right?
what they look like, right? Like, yeah, like, and some of it, like we were saying before, the equipment you guys are developing still honors the tradition of the discipline. So it does have the look, so it doesn't look out of place. But
Yeah,
I think there is also that temptation, right, to be like, I'm going to buy all the things and make the horse look really cool, and
yeah.
yeah, we definitely want to like take the horse's health into consideration before you go too nuts. But so I appreciate, hearing you say that.
Yeah, it's important, and I do think that one of the things that also differs us from the competitors out there is we don't just do things for the look, right? We're going to do
Right.
it because it's going to benefit the horse. I mean, sure, we have some pretty pads and some things like that, but I think across the board, we're always thinking how can this better their lives? That's always, my dad's philosophy was that, the more comfortable the horse, the better the performance. And so
Right.
that's kind of what I try to base everything on.
Love that.
Absolutely. So looking ahead, there's a lot of new science coming out with the equine sports medicine space. What innovations are you expecting to come or are you most excited about if you're able to share anything? I understand there might be some secrets in the R&D space for you guys.
Sure. I think what's most interesting to me, and I haven't really bounced a whole lot of this around with my team, but I think the whole technology space around like AI and maybe how it can help even improve riders. And I'm not sure how, I mean, we're seeing some of those products coming out. We're seeing, in security cameras and things like that. But I know there's some things where we can measure metrics on horses, but I'm looking at that going, how can we utilize new technologies to not only improve their lives, but possibly prevent injury. And so I'm working on wrapping that through my brain and figuring out where can we go with this? Because I think it can fit in line with our brand, but figuring it out, I'm not sure I'm quite that smart.
As a fitness nerd for myself, if you found a way to make like a whoop for horses, I think
Yeah.
that would be super cool.
Yeah, it kind of was like I was looking at my Aura ring one day and I thought, okay, this is cool. So I know somebody's doing it and there's all sorts of possibilities, right? And they're not doing it in a space that is terribly economical for the average rider out there, the amateur out there. So that's the other part of it is how do you do something in that space that people can truly afford?
Mhm. I love that
Yeah.
you bring that up because in today's economy, it's getting harder and harder to have horses, even though the majority of horse owners are sitting in that kind of middle bracket at the end of the day. So the fact that you're thinking about them and how to keep those horses happy and healthy, I just applaud that to you. I really do.
Well, I think, one of the things, thank you, but I've been thinking about this and how do we keep our industry from being outpriced, right? Like I remember being that little girl with horses in her backyard and I think I'm afraid that have we become so uh have we gotten so, pardon the expression, high on the horse that we're cutting the middle people out to that they can't, kids can't come into these disciplines because their parents just can't afford to do it. And I don't want to see that happen because you ladies know and I know what horses can do for all people, right? I mean, their hearts are huge, and if we can keep bringing kids to horses and growing horsemanship in the industry, I think we're doing a service to mankind and horses.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, I'd like, oh my gosh, we could like black hole into this for another hour because like A, we're never going to solve it, but B, like this is deeply interesting to me, this topic. So,
Yeah,
um,
it's
but
been a
yeah, like, yeah, before we go way down into that black hole, which I do find super fascinating, we did want to ask you too, because on top of all of this with Professional's Choice, you're also an author. So how do you make time for all of this? And tell us about your books a little bit.
Mm.
Yeah, so I was fortunate that I had a dad who was an entrepreneur, and he knew my love was to. I always wanted to write, and I've been writing stories since I was a little girl. So he would, after I graduated college, and I had my sons. He allowed me to come into the office and write, but do a little work here and there and go do shows and so he allowed that for me. And then I started publishing in 2004. I do a whole under my name I do a variety of mystery series that kind of rom-com mysteries, and then under my pen name AK Alexander I do some pretty dark thriller stuff. There's actually a book called Blood and Roses based around the racetrack, which is a second in a series that I do. The first book is Daddy's Home, but the way that I balance it is probably kind of how I always have. I've just split the day. So I'll split the day, do a few hours with on Professional's Choice, and then a few hours on writing. Or there are days where I just do one or the other. And I typically work 6 days a week, sometimes even on Sunday, I'll go in church and visit my mom and then try to get a little writing done. I don't typically do a bunch of professionals choice stuff on Sunday. That's when I write, because I love to write. Outside of my horses and my family and what we do for our horses, writing is my passion.
Sorry, I just got very distracted because I was saving you on Goodreads. So I can come back and read these books. But yes, like 100% to everything you just said, because I'm writing my first novel, and if I did not like master the art of time blocking, then this would not be happening. So I love this because it just shows, like, if you want to do something, you just have to figure out how to make time for it. Like
you do. When you write, obviously the time blocking is super important. I mean, when my kids were little kids, I would have to, well, I learned to write with a lot of chaos and noise, but a lot of days I would get up really early, like, and just write from 5 to 7 till I had to get everybody up and out to school. So the time blocking is the key. That is the key.
Yeah, love this. All right, I have followed both of your author pen names.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm gonna, all right, we'll have book club in a couple months, everybody. So everybody get some books out, and we will be meeting again. Yeah, Michele, this was super interesting. Joy, do you have any closing thoughts?
Just the fact that you have been one of my favorite guests so far. I was also putting these books into my Amazon cart, so
amazing. Well, there will be
we're really bad at multitasking on this show. We're like, hang on, wait, everybody hold while I open up Goodreads.
If anyone was wondering if Chris and I are real people, we are. It has just been proof right now.
Multitasking is key. Well, especially when you're a parent, right? And I do, just so you know, if anybody's interested and they want to, I have a movie coming out next. We don't have a date yet, but we start filming in October, and it stars Emma Roberts and Lucas Bravo. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Okay, we really buried the lead on that one. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that
sounds like you're coming back on the show.
Yeah, that one has been and I'll tell you something. This is how my dad developed this business, and this is what he taught me. This was my first book that was ever published, A Murder Uncorked, and it is in a series that's set in Napa Valley, and it's Murder She Wrote-ish, but younger character and all of that. So there's a little romance and stuff. But anyway, he would tell me, visualize what it is you want. Think about what does that feel like and what does it look like? And then he would tell me, and then after that, after you have that goal set and you've done it so many times, what comes after it? Because once you reach it, which you will, he said, it'll almost be anticlimactic because you lived it so much in your mind that you'll want the next goal. And that's how he really developed his business. Like he saw, how do I make horses' lives more comfortable? And then he found the answers to that. And then he just kept building upon it. And he was always thinking that way. So I credit him and my mom too, who was big support to where I'm at today with my writing.
I love it. I love how everything always relates too. Like everything always comes back to horses, first of all, but everything comes full circle too. So
yes. Yep.
Sure. He is so proud with everything that you're doing, by the way. And I don't think we could end it on a better note. Whether you're in or out of the saddle, that is a life lesson that anyone can live by.
Yeah. Thank you. Yep. He was definitely my mentor for sure.
Love it. Well, Michele, where can people go to learn more? I'm sure you've got many websites, many places to find. So let's start with Professional's Choice. Where can people learn more?
Sure. You can go to profchoice.com, and just heads up, we are getting a new website. So I'm excited about that. We haven't done it in years. So if you go there right now and you're like, this website kind of sucks,
We've all been there. Totally fine.
Right?
Love it.
So we're doing that, profchoice.com. And then you can find my books and me on Michele Scott, and it's Michele with one L, Scott.com. And then there's a link on there to my other site, AK Alexander. So those are the best places.
Love it. Well, Michele, you're an inspiration. Thank you so much for joining us on Retired Racehorse Radio.
Thank you, ladies. I really had a good time. I appreciate it.
Love what you're hearing, but wish you could take the entire Horse Radio Network with you on the trail? Well, you can. Instead of hunting for every individual show, just search for the Horse Radio Network All Shows feed in your favorite podcast app. It's one subscription that delivers every single episode from across our entire network. From Western to English, health tips to humor, directly to your phone. Don't miss a single stride. Subscribe to the HRN All Shows feed today.
Well, it is our favorite time of the show where Joy and I get to vicariously do a little horse shopping and bring you all along with. But first, we'll get a training tip from our friends at New Vocations. So today we have Bridget from the Standardbred side. Bridget, welcome back to Retired Racehorse Radio.
Hello, guys.
You have a makeover horse this year, right?
Of course I have a makeover horse.
I know, that was a silly question.
Please have a makeover horse. I have a makeover horse and a graduate this year because I live to make my own life harder.
You're ambitious, Bridget. That's what people say with that.
Okay, we'll call it that.
Yeah, I won't remind you of all the things you said last year about having more than too many horses.
I did say 3 was too many.
Okay, so you only have 2.
This is only 2, so that is still less than 3.
Hey, you're doing good then. Good job. But how's the prep going? Are you feeling ready?
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. We're heading out to a ranch show this weekend for the first timer for the mare that we're taking to the makeover for the ranch work, and we're very excited. She's been a delight because Amanda Vance in New York always sends me wonderful creatures for my makeover projects. So we are super, super excited for that.
I love that symbiotic relationship between you. Are you going to Harlansburg?
Enabling relationship between us, I think, is what it probably is called.
Are you going to the Harlansburg show?
I am.
Oh, good. Tell everyone I said hi. I miss them all. I
will.
need to get the sound horse and get down there.
Yes, we miss you bunches.
Someday I'll be back. That was such a good show. Well, in the meantime, we have a bit of a training question that really plays to both of your strengths, which is both breeds, thoroughbreds and standardbreds. And it's stemming back to how they're trained on the track and how it might apply to second careers. So like we've gone to see plenty of morning works for thoroughbreds, and very rarely is there a horse on the track alone. Like, especially at morning works, like it's very chaotic. There's tons of horses around. It's a little bit reminiscent of the warm-up arena, but like faster, which is terrifying, but it's fine. Everyone knows what they're doing. Standardbreds now, like we haven't gotten to personally see a lot of standardbred training, but I've seen, friends I have in the industry share videos and clips, and I've seen, stuff that just shows up on my feed. And it seems like it's more likely that standardbreds might get trained or conditioned alone. Like they're not out in big groups. There's not like horses and sulkies standing all over the track. They're just out doing their thing and then they go back to the barn. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, so you will oftentimes just, especially if you live near fairgrounds and you've got people that are training at your fairgrounds tracks, which they often are, you'll just drive by and you'll see one lonely little standardbred jogging around the track.
That's what I've seen around here. Like some guy with like a track in his backyard.
Yeah,
like,
not uncommon at all to go out and jog. And a lot of it, I think, might stem from the fact that, in the thoroughbred world, the trainers are not sitting on the horses that are racing. But a lot of the trainers in the standardbred world also drive. They'll jog their own horses. So, your trainer might be jogging his own, in which case he can't jog more than one at a time, where a thoroughbred trainer can have, his whole barn go out together with a group of exercise riders and work together. And yeah, you'll just see, there'll be more than one on the track at a time, but not the chaos that you usually see. And it's controlled chaos on the thoroughbred side. There'll be just one guy jogging one way and another one finishing up and another guy starting out jogging the other way, and they'll cross paths, but they're not necessarily working in those great big groups that you see on the thoroughbred side.
Interesting. Okay. So now does that translate, do you find, like to more independence as a second career horse, or would that just sort of be still very dependent on the individual?
I think they do well independently. They're used to, going to work by themselves. If they encounter other horses while they're out, cool. But they're not necessarily bothered by leaving the stable, going out to work and coming back, because that is what they're accustomed to having happen.
That is the jam. Okay.
Yeah, it does make it nice. And, for me, especially, I ride alone frequently here. We've got a small facility. I've got other training and boarding clients, but frequently I am, going out to work my horses by myself. And so the fact that they will go out alone is super helpful for me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for real. Yeah. Okay. Love that. Good to know. So listeners, if you are someone who tends to ride alone, and this is not to say like standardbreds will solve all your problems, and don't try it with a thoroughbred, because neither of those is entirely true, but it's something to take into consideration if you're trying to choose between breeds. And I have some of each, and all of them are actually pretty good alone, just because that's the way that we ride, but they've had plenty of years to kind of learn to be that way. So interesting insight, Bridget. Thanks as always. All right. So we are doing one of these fun, like blind featured horses of the week, because we're getting one like hot off the presses, hasn't been on the website yet, like right off the trailer. So tell us about Sprinter N.
Yes. Sprinter N is a New Zealand horse. That's what the N stands for. So in case anybody was ever curious as to the random letters behind a standardbred's name, that is frequently a designation of the country that they were born in.
Is that okay? Do you know, is that true for warmbloods too, or are they just like putting random letters in there?
I do not know for warmbloods. I can tell you what the standardbred letters are, but warmbloods I don't know. So if you see,
it's always like Curacao Z or whatever, and you're like, okay, I don't know what this means. So
that I don't know.
I would just tell people this is my fancy warmblood if I had this horse.
Yeah. So if it's an A, it's Australia. If it's an N, it's New Zealand. You've got an S for Sweden.
Now, if we send an American standardbred abroad, do they get a letter? Like,
I don't think so. But
all right. Well, we'll have to call up Sweden and see. I don't know if we're exporting standardbreds very frequently or not. I'm just curious. All right. I've derailed us enough. Go ahead. Sorry,
okay.
Bridget, go on.
So anyhow, Sprinter N, our New Zealand guy, is I don't know where my husband horse people are at, but this is the one you're looking for. He is a big Labrador in a horse body, very seasoned, very chill guy, and a big, sturdy, stout horse to go with a good mind. So if you are looking for something to, put your husband on, put your friend on that doesn't ride, that just wants to kind of like mosey around and see the sights and is completely content to go off on his own for what it's worth, Sprinter is your dude.
I love that. So he is not like he's named Sprinter, but this does not imply that he is a fast runner.
No, he, like most standardbreds, realizes he is done racing now and is perfectly content to mosey.
I love him. I've not even laid eyes on him. Like, I want a husband horse. I'm at that stage where I'm like, give me the husband horse. I just want to plotter it. Like, this is all I want in my life. So I'm like, well, now hang on a second. You're really selling this horse, Bridget. So I have become a husband.
A delight. He is an absolute delight. And he has an October birthday because he's from New Zealand.
So do I. Oh my God, it's meant to be.
There you go.
All right, we'll be in touch. I love it. All right. So if anybody would like to beat me to the punch on Sprinter N, where do they go to get started?
They can go to horseadoption.com or newvocations.org. Those will both take you to the same place to see all of our lovely thoroughbreds and standardbreds that we have available for adoption. And don't forget, we always have more that aren't posted yet, like you're getting the sneak peek today. So if you get your application in, you can be ready when the horses come.
Thank you for that reminder to get my application in again. This is like the longest running joke on this show. Thanks as always, Bridget. Good luck at the show this weekend. Can't wait for
Thank you.
You can find our show notes and links to today's guests on the website at horseradionetwork.com. Like us on Facebook and Instagram. Just search for Retired Racehorse Radio. You can follow the network on Twitter at Horse Radio. You can find me on Instagram and Threads at The Horseback Writer, and you can follow along with our new farm adventures on Instagram at Painted Forest Farm. My email is kristen@horseradionetwork.com.
You can find me on my updated Instagram handle. Yes, I made a change because I just feel like I'm in a different point in my life, at Finding Joy Diaries. And my email is joy@horseradionetwork.com. Thank you so much to our sponsors, Kentucky Performance Products and HRN, and to our partners, New Vocations Racehorse Adoption Program and the Retired Racehorse Project. Don't forget to check out all the other shows on the Horse Radio Network, part of Equine Network at horseradionetwork.com. And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the show as it helps us grow. Remember to set your goals high and love to learn from every ride.
And every time, don't forget, cow side leg.
Bye, guys.